Oscar here, I have repeated this story 100 times. When I was traveling with Moses Biarahanga, and he was persuading an elderly hair hostess from KLM who had said she will spend her Christmas in Kilimanjaro, that please come to Uganda, we have this, Kenya doesn't have. And she said, you see, we usually stay in Entebbe, but sometimes the hotels were full and they took us to Kampala. But your road, animals are crossing, elderly. He said, I cannot come. And I looked at Poor Biarahanga, was very happy, because for them they think settlements in themselves mean development. You had Museveni when he was on this show, and he was celebrating that when he captured power, this whole area from Mulago to Gayaza was a forest. Now there are people there. So if you don't plan for them, the people themselves become a problem. So Chitezi fits within the bigger problem, no physical planning. Because if you had a physical plan, you had a settlement plan where people go and live, and you're sure they stay there, then you will not be having Chitezi as a disaster. First, who licensed people to begin constructing around the site? And
why were they stopped if they don't licensed?
Yes, and then you come up and begin arresting, which is tokenism, arresting the executive director and deputy, and unfortunately the man in charge of health, who had written many letters complaining, yes, that you guys, this thing is about to kill people, and you pay him by arresting him. I am told he's the son of former President Milton Obote.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's Obote's son, and these are Museveni's friends. Maybe they said, why are you? But the point is, he did his work, as far as I am concerned, by alerting everybody that Chitezi is about to kill people, and eventually it did. I don't know why they took him to court, but I think the president had to find some scapegoat, so you arrest some people. Because even Chisaka, I told you I represented Chitezi in 2011. At that time, I think Jennifer Musi was the executive director. But even before that, World Bank had written a report saying, please, you must close this site. They didn't close it. In every policy statement from Kampala Capital City Authority, they were pleading for money to go, and that's how they went to buy land in Dundu. That land in Dundu meant to close Chitezi and then begin a new site, but there was no money to do the construction there, and so on and so forth.
But now they're also battling settlers.
Yeah, because you see the trouble.
Come onto the land.
The trouble is that I have told you, Oscar, and it was deliberate, that our population is growing by 1 million every year. What is a forest today? Tomorrow is a trading center. So if you delay, identify land and you don't fence it off, even private land, within a very short time, people will encroach on it because they are looking for survival. So the problem, the bigger problem, is that there is no planning, no physical plan. We follow nothing. We are just settling like we are in I don't know, where you find space, you build. And then later they will tell you, why did you build around the Chitezi? They said they will move people. People are still there, Oscar. You need to go and pass by Chitezi these days. They claim now we are going to remove everybody, they must go. They are still there. They are still bringing, not at the same scale, but garbage is still being brought into that area, and people are doing it as a business, sort out, are still there daily.
These are the contradictions of Uganda. We have Norman Magembe here posting my highlight on X, formerly Twitter. My highlight of 2024 was watching Onana at Nambole Stadium. I think his tweeting about Uganda was fantastic, since he has a huge global following. Honorable Ssemujju, you also love sports, you love football, you support a team that may never win a championship, but that's for another day.
No, you need to know that Scolari was the coach of Real Madrid. They became the champion, but he was sacked.
Right.
They said his football was not entertaining. You had chased fans from the stadium. So it's not just about winning. Scolari, when he coached Real Madrid, after winning, they sacked him.
Yeah.
He said there is no entertainment in your football, so people are not just kicking and score.
So your Arsenal is just there to entertain.
That's what football is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just about winning, and winning a trophy is one of the things, but it's not the ultimate.
But sports has been good in Uganda. I mean, just having Onana in Uganda, very, very useful. But then the Kenyans were clever. The next match, they bought the entire place, so you couldn't go to support Onana.
Kenya was using our facility because I think theirs are also under construction. Like we were at one time playing from Algeria, looking for facilities because we hadn't developed ours. And they said playing against Nigeria in Uganda, and you have a Manu goalkeeper as part of Nigeria, is bringing more people who are going to make Nigeria look like it is a home team. I think that was their reason, and they said no, please, we don't want. And that's why I said, Oscar, we were in Rwanda a year ago for the East African Parliamentary Games.
But Onana is not Nigeria.
Onana is
Cameroon.
Cameroon, yes, it's Cameroon. We're in Rwanda, and Kagame tends to do things deliberately. If you look at their rugby arena in Rwanda, and we are told the intention was to construct those kind of facilities that are going to attract those kind of matches, that if Uganda has a match and they don't have a serious facility, certainly they will have to go. I don't know why we don't go to Rwanda, but Kenya came here. Ours here, the way they are constructed, even Nambole, the way it is, I've just been told now that the whole VIP area, you see, Nambole is now nearing completion. But when CAF came here, they advised them that to host the Africa Cup of Nations, that VIP section will need to accommodate more than 2,000 guests. As it is now, I think it's about 200.
It's about
now, after finishing, we are now going to demolish to construct again. And during a debate in Parliament, the FUFA president told them that, you see, these facilities that you are giving to UPDF, first of all, are they a certified company? Are they CAF certified company? Are they FIFA certified? That you may need to use companies that these fellows have certified, so that tomorrow you don't have those kind of issues. But because of our obsession with the military, they handed over the facility to UPDF. As a result, now I am told we've got to demolish the whole VIP section, because the one of Africa Cup of Nations must accommodate at least 2,000 guests. So it's an opportunity. Sports gives you free advertising, but you need to invest in it. You see these countries like Qatar, who are giving citizenship to Kenyans and Ethiopians. It's not because they want to get money out of it, but they want publicity. If you have a marathon runner who is going to be on all the international channels for 2 hours advertising your country, why wouldn't you invest in it? So the investment that you make, that's why I was comparing Uganda to Rwanda. You look at their rugby arena, it is a tourist attraction. You look at ours, there will be a quarrel over who wins the contract, and eventually they will give it to someone who is incompetent, or the president will intervene and he will give it to UPDF. That Nambole and its surroundings by now should be made to look attractive, such that when people come to, like Onana came and others will, they go with a good story about how Uganda looks like, because they will be exposed only to that facility from the airport to hotel and then to Nambole. But if it is surrounded by garbage in Chireka, so when I complain, they tell me, but Chireka under Chira municipality, why doesn't the mayor remove it? So the amount of investment that you make in sports will give you almost immediate dividends. And I hope by the time of the Africa Cup of Nations, we'll have cleaned the whole of that Nambole and facilities around it.
For me to see was the bickering in Parliament over the coffee bill and the attempts by government to tinker with a sector that is doing well. They left all the sectors that they could improve, that they have ruined, that they should work on, and started doing coffee bills and trying to join the party, the coffee party, which they claim to have had a lot to do with. But in my estimation, the people on the ground, the coffee farmers themselves, the coffee organizations, and certain drivers like the Katikiro and his driver Mwanyi Terimba have done more, in my estimation, on that front than the government. Government can do more. as a state machinery, there is a lot that they can do to improve this. And if they for even one moment shut down their grid and looked at how to use this as an opportunity to develop the country, coffee alone, Oscar, is enough to get Uganda into middle income. It is enough. All we need to do, and I'm simplifying this, grossly simplifying this, but if we even harnessed markets of, say, India and China, and then amplified our coffee drives instead of this whole nonsense of Pineti and what is that Africa thing in Tungamo, which they are trying to do, Oscar, we would be more, we would get more from our coffee advantage than we are even doing now. Look how far we've come without government putting these laws in place, and yet they come in and the very coffee farmers that they seek to help are protesting what they are trying to do. The stakeholders are protesting, but people who have never even grown one coffee plant are thinking that they are more well versed with the situation to make decisions regarding a sector that is doing well without any input from them. So for me, I found that absurd on the one hand. So when Moses quotes the figures, he needs to tell us where they are coming from and the government input and how government can do better instead of sabotaging the
Germany doesn't grow coffee. But Germany doesn't grow coffee, but they grow it.
They grow it in different African countries, and they earn coffee. They are the biggest earners because of the way they've strategized. I don't know whether it's legal to mention some of their companies here that grow coffee in the name of Uganda and then export it as German coffee. But I don't think
maybe you shouldn't. Yes, I mean it's still
they don't have even to export it as, because you see, until that chaos in Khartoum, we were exporting the biggest percentage of our coffee to Khartoum. Khartoum re-exporting to Egypt, and Egypt that had access to European market, processing and selling. See, the international trade has its own limitations. I told you, Oscar, I was in Turkey, I visited the Ugandan embassy. My complaint was that I was feeding on banana and mangoes from Colombia and those other countries.
At the Ugandan embassy?
No, everywhere. So I said, but our things are better. So they told me that market in Turkey is dominated by Colombia and others, because in exchange they also buy this from Turkey. So you who is not buying stuff from Turkey, they're not going to open their market for you to begin bringing your oranges and mango. So the international trade has its own limitation. I tell you the story of Magufuli. He becomes a leader in Tanzania and he says he wants the country to be importing sugar from Brazil directly, not through a third party. He didn't know that the third party, who is a Mswahili in Zanzibar, was actually participating in growing canes in Brazil. So he goes to Brazil and they refer him back to a person he left home, that guy is responsible for that market of the following countries. So I don't think you'll easily break into the international market, even by production, even by improving harvesting and so on and so forth. But Oscar, for me, the point Biarahanga makes, and he likes playing with the statistics. Abdul Katuntu bought me a book, lying with the statistics. And I want to repeat something I've said about coffee many times here. When Uganda was about 5 million people, Uganda was exporting 3.2 million bags. We are now 45 million people celebrating because we are exporting 7. So you cannot tell me, so we are only recovering in terms of coffee per capita. Even the gold that you are talking about, Oscar, and that's why later, if you allow me, gold here that we are selling is not gold from Uganda.
No, it's not.
It is gold stolen from Congo. Because many of the companies in the Eastern DRC, there is a ban. So they're exporting their gold through Uganda, through Tanzania, and through Rwanda. What happens is that these guys who bring here gold, they actually load it at the old airport with Museveni's relatives, go to Dubai, go to China, and sell, and then bring dollars in airplanes. And then the Congolese come here and buy cement and buy stuff and then go to Eastern DRC. This is the story of gold in Uganda. It's not that every gold we say the money will end up here. But that gold is what is helping to stabilize the Ugandan shilling. And that's why when they had a meeting, because the Auditor General had authored a report complaining that they are not paying taxes. When they met Museveni, he said, you first wait with.
For me, I think the people who are listening in to us, what they want to see is money in their pockets. How are they faring? You know, I saw news stories talking about how people are struggling to celebrate Christmas. Of course, you know, PDM and its challenges. Everybody predicted what was going to happen to PDM. You know, like any other, they started with Youth Livelihood Project and all these other projects in Tandikwa and all that, Wanabagagawale. And same things, corruption. It ends up really being handouts to, we had our own people who went to access these funds and they were blocked because they are not supporting the NRM and that kind of thing. So PDM is just like all these other projects that have been there before. But the point I'm making is that you cannot talk about a growing economy and throw around these figures when we still have all these thousands of young people leaving the country to go and work in, you know,
in the Middle East.
When you have people unable to afford living, you just go to regions like Usoga, you go to Lango, I mean, almost everywhere in northern Uganda, and seeing the sickening levels of poverty there. Poor service delivery. People have been shining a spot now on hospitals in western Uganda, beginning with Mbarara Referral Hospital, which, you know, some people think these people are in the thing, but when you go there and see the state in which the hospital is, so you cannot just throw around figures that are not backed by improved livelihoods for the people of Uganda. And so you have problems with infrastructure, like we talked about, the disparities between the rich and poor growing every other day. So how do you throw around these figures when they do not speak to the common person in Uganda? And of course, the regime continues to tax people very highly, and of course there is no correlation between the taxes they pay and the services they receive. So as long as all these problems continue to happen, you cannot talk about a boost in the economy, in my view, or from where we stand.
Lydia, you hear contradictions. Moses supplies the figure says Uganda is doing well, imports are going down, exports are going up, but across the table people are contesting that they do not feel that money in their pockets. Ssemujju even contests that coffee money is not felt in the pocket.
No, the macro is there. The figures show that Uganda is doing well. And when Moses was talking, I said, let's flash the figures, because they're able to tell you how the economy is moving. What needs to be done now is a trickle-down effect. And that's why you're hearing about the socio-economic transformation campaign about household incomes. When talking about a household, that's where the actual trickle-down is. A kilogram of coffee recently was about 10,000. Depending on the brand. Where I come from in Bugisu, our coffee went up almost to 12,000 shillings a kilo. And if you're a serious person with your coffee, you know what that means. I mean, you have 100 kilograms, you have some smile walking to the bank or going home with coffee. So it's also about hard work. If you're going to sit back in your house, then the opportunities will walk past you. So we should not talk about poverty without translating it to the obligations of the people. And I wanted to inform my brother Luis here that it is not true that it is government policy that the price development model only goes to those who support the NRM government. And if you have any case, listen. If you have any, before we leave this show, I want you to give me the person who reported, because it's a new person, their name and their parish. In the next show, I'll bring evidence from that parish committee that's not the policy of government, and that person who has registered will be entitled. Do you want them to come and camp here? Because there are several. No. And I'll tell you why. Give us the records. Give us. Why. You know, they put the person on that committee.
And
you know,
we contested
I have told
we
you.
contested that because if it is a government program,
Why?
government of Uganda program.
No, let me explain. You have talked and I've listened. One of the work methods of the talk show here is that you have a pen and piece of paper. You take notes.
But
now, why are you not? Why are you not giving? No, but why don't you listen? You will be given time to only tell the lies. But let me tell my lies if you want. You have to listen to me. I have no choice.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, then listen and keep quiet so that I can speak. Don't interrupt me.
But you were interrupting.
I didn't interrupt you.
You did actually.
No, I didn't. I did not.
Between Lydia and Louis.
So I'm trying to say, to tell Louis if he wants to hear, that it is not government policy. For your information, I come from an opposition community. I come from Umbali. Those are not simple people. They know their rights, they argue, they oppose. But you cannot go to a parish in Umbali and they ask about your color. The majority are even actual opposition, but NRMs are not complaining. So it's colorless, let me tell you. But you can choose to give it a color if you want. But if you are in a community and you have all the requirements for the parish development model, as day follows the night, you are entitled and you will get. I can actually go with you to your loop offices after this show, and you give me that list and take it to the parish, so that we resolve this matter, because the structures of government are there, the offices are there, and want to deliver to all Ugandans irrespective of your political affiliation, because this is your right. It's your right to associate. This is a government program, is for everybody, and it's in the interest of the NRM to see opposition people benefiting from this. Then we'll be accountable. What is 1 million to deny a person who belongs to another political party? That's not even how we think. If you want to know that there is actually more interest of the NRM, to reach out. This government money, taxpayers' money, taxes are blind. They have no color. Everybody pays for these taxes. So for me, I don't like this business of coming. You have one line. We are talking about a mass line for the community. And for sure, if it's about denying your people, just give me the list. I can give you my number. I can go with you.
I'll give you the list.
And I will go to that parish and I'll go with the media so that to resolve this problem.
Let her finish first.
So for me, I
after the break, I'll give you.
For me, you've made your case. I have responded to you. So we will come back here even next Saturday, and we give the evidence.
Okay.
This is a straightforward activity. Fortunately for me, I come from Mbale City, where we are, even from our own families, we have many colors. I come from a family where we come from different political parties, and so it's okay. But you cannot say that because of this color, you're not getting from this color. Otherwise, NRMs would be here crying, because in Mbale, most of them are not even NRM, but they are happy they're receiving the development model. One of the biggest achievements of the NRM government 2024 is to enforce, be vigilant, and deliver the parish development model. And so far, every parish in Uganda has received 300 million shillings, because there have been 3 leases for this last 3 years. 100 million per parish in the last 3 years.
Inospa on ex-family says, Ssemujju Rubongoya, a vet graduate in my village, got 1 million PDM. He bought a handbag and vaccines or whatever, and the guy is living a fortune. I wanted to move away from this, but Louis wants to make 2 sentences.
Yeah, just I don't want Lydia to really take Ugandans for fools. To say that these people who come out to remove to don yellow t-shirts, and is it the local people who
don't you wear your red berets?
You said I shouldn't interrupt you.
No, but I mean, why? Ugandans are not fools on your side as well.
No, you're saying that somehow these people come out, go and buy new t-shirts and come to receive General Museveni and put up boards and start making endorsements.
It's voluntary.
It is a clearly orchestrated plan, and my point is that if this is a government project funded by the taxpayers, it should not be politicized. So it is politicized right from the formulation of the committee in terms of who gets to benefit from the project. Even when it is being monitored, it is a real campaign, which is what has been happening in the last election. You saw General Museveni moving around to launch markets during the campaign period when they were blocking us and every other person from holding rallies because of COVID, and they went around holding these big meetings claiming to launch government programs when they were actually campaigning. So she shouldn't take Ugandans for fools. Everybody can see these rallies that I mean, when Balaam goes around and is moving on the streets with convoys and whatever, and you say that these are excited people who cannot even afford a meal, that these people all of a sudden can afford new NRM t-shirts.
Don't your supporters come with red berets on the streets? Don't they come?
Okay. So they finally
and then they are abducted for wearing those red berets.
No, but don't they come? You don't mix things. Don't they come?
No.
Your supporters, I even supported you.
The point I'm making is that for us, when we go to these
don't
areas,
they come? Do they come or not come?
We do not go to launch government programs.
Because you're not in the government. How do you launch what you don't have?
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Wait, when you're in government,
PDM
you are not.
Has been turned into a political tool. Actually, it was, like Nancy says, I think...
It was a political tool.
We are delivering a manifesto for transforming Ugandans.
But finally, on this point, I think we need to reach a point and move on from handouts. We've been saying that Ugandans need a hand up, not handouts. Handouts have not worked, and we need to change the formula.
As for the mandate.
That's what NUP will come to do. Yeah.
So, Honorable Ssemujju, it was family turning into a Lydia Lewis show, both L's. As we conclude the final gang, which of the exhibitions caught your eye? Because we had, is it pothole exhibition? Then we had Parliamentary.
For obvious reason, the one of Parliament generated a lot of heat.
Why do you say obvious?
Yeah, because Parliament creates news. Parliament is in the news, even when you think there is no news in Parliament. But the most significant thing is that you are responsible for oversight, but also for holding others to account. When you are found guilty, then you are bound to be treated, you are bound to generate more headlines than any other person, because your job in the first instance is to make sure that public resources are properly utilized. But you have been found wanting. You are also taking part in sharing those public resources. That's why the one of Parliament, and then Parliament and politics being supported by different interests. Those genuinely who are fighting corruption, but those who also want to take advantage of the reported corruption to deal with their own internal problems. So that's why Parliament was in the media for a very long time. And I hope, Oscar, as I said at the beginning of the show, that I hope as an institution, Parliament will learn from this, and many of these things are not going to be repeated. Unfortunately, once corruption is official, it's very difficult to stop. I remember when I was presenting a response to the budget, I did list people who were given money formally in the budget, money for donation, which was coming to about 168 billion, from the president to vice president, the prime minister, the speaker of parliament, the deputy, the chief justice. So they have money for donation in the budget. And I said during the budget process that why don't we remove this money? The people were just laughing at me. So the corruption that is not official, that can be fought. But the one that is official, you can report about it 100 times, but it will not stop. Because money is put in the budget for people to go and use it the way they like. So until that has been dealt with, then the unofficial, because you see, even in the military, when you are the ghost soldiers, if you are authorized to steal, you are not going to be punished. But if you are not authorized, they will come running after you because you are stealing. What Kazin called official sharing. He said the money we are sharing at the end of the financial year, but everybody was participating. You know, Kazin was Kazin. And then the money that individual soldiers were stealing. So for what they were not authorized, they were being punished. But what was officially known, no punishment.
Okay. Nancy, which exhibition caught you the most?
It's even sad that we have these exhibitions, Oscar. I'm just hoping that next year we have exhibitions for things that are going right in the country. For once, we have a positive year, but seeing that it's an election year, I don't think that is going to be the case. But I think for me, the one outstanding must be the one about Parliament. I like the pothole one as well. and the health sector.
So you liked them all? That was all. So you liked them all?
I like them all. You see, Oscar, I give credit to Spire for coming out and courageously exhibiting, because I mean his life has been threatened, and as an activist he's done a great job bringing out this, and I want us going forward to use more social media. Even Agatha Ataire have been very, very excellent this year. For me, they are some of my top persons of the year, Jimmy Spire, Sentongo, and Agatha, for highlighting these areas and trying to bring them to the fore, because when nobody mentions these things, we all go through these portals. I don't know whether Lydia here and Moses and Ofono Pondo don't drive through the same Kampala that we all drive through, and if they drive through these potholes, I don't know where they okay with it. And I Betty Kamia told us that their big cars don't fill these potholes. But Oscar, you have these big cars. Tell us, do you fill these potholes or you don't? Because for me, for the very people propagating this misrule to be moving in the same country, because I can understand Bia in Cameroon. I mean, he lives at the is this a Swiss Continental in Switzerland? So he's not affected by what happens on the ground in Cameroon. So he can run the country to the ground, and I will excuse his stupidity. But for our Ugandan leaders who run the country to the ground, and they're using the very same roads, they're using the very same facilities that they've run to the ground, what is wrong with these people?
Okay.
So
Rubongoya, we are out of town now. What exhibition caught you the most?
So the one of Parliament. I want to first of all appreciate the exhibitors and of course Jimmy and the Agora team for a great work done. They did well to really start these exhibitions, and I want to appreciate all the young people who participated in the March to Parliament. I think that was one of the highlights of the year. People who were not previously involved in politics, you saw them come out to the streets to, protest against corruption. As always, General Museveni, who always loves to talk about corruption, came out, fire blazing and said they were playing with fire. Many were arrested and all these things happened to them. But I think the exhibition on Parliament was very, very important for the people to see really what is going on. For us as NUP, of course, it came with its own issues. The 500 million, it was 1.7 billion handout given to the parliamentary commissioners and all that. But it was a revelation of corruption in the high places. The fact that Parliament itself is a bastion for corruption, which is very unfortunate.
Lydia, many junior Jimmy says, at Ssemujju Rubongoya, I want to challenge Lydia that in my constituency in Oyam South, they are so selective that the son to the LC1 was the first to get. So, but as I told Namfi, these are just individuals perhaps. You have to look at the entire program. But
no, the challenges of the Oscar, the challenges of the partial model exist and they are there, but I want to request the leadership, because of the structure there's a leader at the parish level, to be vigilant and be able to address. That's why I've asked Louis to give me the list, because I'll go and track the parish already in the system and we clear that. The challenges are there.
Then finally for you, Lydia,
so I've already explained who is entitled.
Finally for you, what exhibition caught you the most?
I think that we still have a very big challenge in terms of leadership of our country and accountability. The names keep changing. When it's Bank of Uganda, it's called the Haste. When it is the Parliament, it is called the Award. When it is, I don't know, the bank, it is fake money for Post Bank. But all this is about the community and accountability and abuse of office, but also maybe fraud. So the English words keep changing. But that shows that along the way, there is abuse of office and money, and then the people don't get the service. Yeah. Because when money disappears, then the roads will not be fixed. But Oscar, did you hear that the cabinet has approved that we are going to have cable cars in the city?
It's a story from 2014.
So I was like, if we can't fix the potholes in the city, now how are the cable cars going to move and be made? Anyway, that's another thing.
Thank you. Yes.
But
thank you.
So
of the Capital Gang. Thank you. the regular gangsters that we've had. Star Cafe, thank you so much for powering the gang. I'd like to wish a happy new year to everyone. Honorable Ssemujju, your friend Lieutenant Kano Chove, did you know that he was promoted to Kano Chove? So
My neighbor in Macho.
yes, that's why I'm giving you that information.
So I want to congratulate him.
Yes, so he's also
I
been
think
my good of the year.
well,
Sorry, I bless you.
From
Bless you.
COVID to Mpox, I didn't
Yes.
know.
a well-deserved
Sure,
promotion
studied
for
this.
Dr.
I didn't know he
Chobe.
was going to be in this operation.